Welcome back to Gamecocks Hoops with Coop, my dad.
If you're new to this channel, our mission is to grow the game of women's basketball, starting with our Lady Gamecocks. Gamecock Nation, another W on yesterday against the Tennessee Volunteers. We won 93-50, right? 43-point win. And family, that wasn't just a win, it was a lesson. The story of this game stuck out to me immediately. You guys know I always search for that one word to really describe this game. The one word from this game was zone. Zone. Tennessee came into this game wanting rhythm. And for the first couple of minutes, they were doing that. I think the game was tied up, maybe 15-15 or 16-16. It was going back and forth like, oh man, we in another tight SEC battle. But then something changed. Coach Staley and her staff made some adjustments because we were short-handed yesterday. We didn't have Maddie, we didn't have Adele, and we didn't have McKeer. And Tennessee was running a super fast-paced game. So Coach Staley switched to zone to protect our players from foul trouble and running out of energy. And that absolutely changed the game. And it's not just the word zone, it's actually the concept. Because once we went there, the game was absolutely over, but Tennessee just didn't know it yet. Let's jump right into breaking down this word zone on how the game went. Z stood for zapping their rhythm. Tennessee wanted to come in, they wanted to cause chaos on defense, but on offense, they wanted to drive, kick, and flow with confidence. But we disrupted that early by switching from man to man and going with a 2-2-1. And once they cross half court, we changed to a 2-3 zone. The 2-2-1 is meant to slow teams down, make them pass the ball, and really think. And that's exactly what it did. It made them slow down on offense and casually pass the ball back and forth. Now, for us, it worked wonders because we found out that they're not really a great passing team because we were able to generate around 18 turnovers. And utilizing a press like that, it doesn't really stop the possession, but it does shape the possession. So you kind of control what you want them to do rather than they just kind of free flowing on offense. And that made Tennessee change from running their offense to actually reacting because it wasn't your traditional 2-3 zone where you just sit and wait and wait. They were extremely active. If you guys go back and look at the highlights, it was more like a matchup 2-3 zone. So it's similar to a 2-3 zone, but they actually matching up with whoever has the ball or the person in their area. So it feels like to the offense almost a real tight man-to-man, but they're actually guarding zones or areas on the court, and that gave the Lady Volunteers fits on yesterday. And I mean, drop in the comments if you guys saw whenever we changed to this zone, how unorganized and how discombobulated Tennessee team looked while they were trying to get into their offensive sets. Moving on to the letter O in our word zone, and that stood for occupy the paint. And to me, that was where a big chess move showed up. Our Lady Gamecock said, hey, you guys will not live in the paint in this game. We are going to own it. Let's just start on the defensive end. When you're playing that 2-3 zone at half court, you have more players inside of the three-point arc, closer to the paint and inside of the paint. So the drives Tennessee was making towards the basket at the beginning of the game, you guys saw that as the game went on, it's no more of that, right? Because the paint was stuffed, daring them to shoot from the outside. And really, that's the goal of a 2-3 defense anyway. It's not to stop shots. It's actually to force you to shoot from the outside. And that's exactly what this Tennessee team tried to do. Shooting 44 three-pointers, right? And only making 10 of them. They stopped driving and kicking. All they did was pass the ball 1 or 2 times and throw up a contested three. And credit to our defense for actually putting a fork in their game plan. Moving on to the letter N in our word zone, and that stood for no counter. This is really where the separation happened in our game on yesterday, because zones don't beat teams by themselves. It's the lack of counters that they have. Our matchup 2-3 defense, it forced Tennessee to do a few things. Number one, Tennessee didn't make a good enough effort to get the ball to the high post, and when they did, we had our phenomenal defenders there ready to steal the pass, like Raven Johnson, Tanaya Latson. They were getting tips and steals the few times that they did try to flash. Also, it stopped them from getting a touch in the paint. We had them shooting threes like they were an NBA team, right? Chunking up 44 threes. That is a lot of threes in a basketball game, y'all. Another thing they didn't do well is use the short corner. It's that area not where the block is down under the basket, but a little further out towards the three-point line on the baseline. They didn't use that well at all. And that's really a credit to our defense for matching up and making it look like everything was covered while we were denying all passes. And most of the time, we finished the possession with a rebound. You guys know I always mention on these videos, anytime we could be plus 10 or more in the rebound category, more than not, that's going to equal a win for our Lady Gamecocks. And last game, I think we were plus 15, right? So we were dominating the paint, both on the defensive end and the offensive end. Talking about the paint, let's start with Okot. She played 25 minutes. She had 10 points, 4 or 5 from the field, and 16 rebounds. Amazing. Remember about 5 or 6 videos ago, I was talking about we need Okot to get back to the walking double-double she was before the SEC play started. And guess what? She's back on time. I ended up watching the press conference last night, and she was responding to a question asking her how she was dealing with, starting sometime, coming off the bench. She actually said that she felt like a lot of pressure was removed from her whenever she came off the bench. If you guys checked out my last video, we were talking about how she just started playing basketball at the age of 17. So even though she's older, she is still a newbie or a beginner to basketball. So it's amazing how fast this young lady can learn and how she will continue to develop and polish her skills as she gets more experience in the game. So she was basically saying in the press conference that the lights were a little bit too bright and she felt a lot of weight on her shoulder. So what did Coach Staley do? Hey, it's no pressure. We're going to pull you out of the starting lineup. She said she felt better coming off the bench, took that pressure off her. She started performing at a high level, insert her back into the starting lineup, that next woman up mentality. And guess what? She played her behind off this last game for us, right? So she's starting to learn. She's starting to adapt to the pressure that comes along with being a South Carolina Lady Gamecock and the winning culture that Coach Don Staley brought to Columbia, South Carolina. Moving on to the one and only Joyce Edwards, right? She played 30 minutes, 20 points. She was 7 out of 10 from the field. She had 8 rebounds, 4 assists, and only 1 turnover. Joyce is a bad girl. Y'all continue to keep watching Joyce as she grows and continues to get better. Moving on to another big that got some good SEC minutes against the ranked team, Alicia Turnerby. She played 19 minutes, 8 points, 3 out of 3 from the field, 2 out of 2 from 3, 2 rebounds, and only 2 turnovers. Right. And guess what? No personal fouls. That's major. We were talking about how she gained so many personal fouls in a short period of time. Don't say I ain't tell you, but she's starting to adjust slowly but surely. And even though she's 6'7", she has a very good shooter's touch, whether she's in around the rim or around the three-point line. Moving on to our next 3/4, Isla McDowell. And shout out to Isla McDowell. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Go Cox. She played 24 minutes, 7 points, 3 out of 4 from the field. She was 1 out of 2 from 3. She had 2 rebounds and 2 turnovers, right? So she's still coming up as a freshman. She's able to play 20 plus minutes and give you some quality effort to help the team out when we need that next woman to step up. Moving on to the guards, starting with seatbelt gang Raven Johnson. She played 37 minutes. Remember, with Maddie being out, she kind of had to play a little bit longer. 13 points. She was 6 of 11 from the field, or 2 from 3. She had 1 rebound. She had 7 assists, but she did have 5 turnovers. So maybe the extra minutes kind of caused some fatigue, but we already know Raven is the general. She is going to get it together. She is the least of our worries whenever it comes to turnovers in the game. Moving on to the other Johnson, Tessa Johnson. She played 30 minutes, 14 points. She was a perfect 4 out of 4 from the field, 2 out of 2 from three-point range, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers. Tessa had a good game. I really loved that step back 3. Seemed like either Tanai was driving or Raven was driving, and they did a drive kick. Tessa pump fake, took 1 dribble, step back, 3 ball, right? That was an amazing play. It just stuck out in my mind. Tessa can absolutely, and I say this all the time, Tessa can absolutely shoot the skin off the ball. But one thing that I did love seeing her do this game was actually driving the ball to the basket and utilizing her pull-up jumper. She is a phenomenal slasher to the rim. She's more offensively sound than sometimes she settles for, right? She'll kind of just, I'm going to be a spot-up shooter. She can be a spot-up shooter. She also has the moves and she has the toughness to get to the basket and get us some buckets. Moving on to Tanaya Latson, she played 30 minutes also. She dropped 21 points, 9 out of 15 from the field, or 2 from 3. She had 1 rebound, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. So that another 20-point scorer, we had both her and Joyce dropped 20, dropped the dub against Tennessee. And we know she had her leg injury, but she is a player that can absolutely score the basketball, and we need her to stay healthy and continue to stay in the lineup. Now, moving on to the last letter E in our word zone, stands for effect going forward. And this is the part that most casual fans skip, but we don't. This game really matters because our Lady Gamecocks really show 2 big things. They can change defenses without changing identities, and they can control the tempo without excess fouling. I don't know if you guys realize how big it's going to be come tournament time, come March, whenever we're able to change the defenses and keep our identity of being tenacious on that defensive end, no matter if we're in the zone, no matter if we're doing a zone press, no matter if we're in man-to-man. That is very important. And you really want to be like a Swiss Army knife because you never know what tool you will need for that game to get the job done. And like I was saying earlier, the zone we're playing, it's not passive like traditional zones. We're active, matching up and causing havoc on the defensive end. And honestly, I don't even think Tennessee was prepared for it. Now, the scary part isn't that the Lady Gamecocks have a zone. It's they have a coach and a coaching staff that knows when to use it. And that can be a nightmare for other teams because some coaches, they'll get the big head, they'll have the ego. Hey, I only play man to man. I'm not running the zone. I'm not running any junk defenses. But Coach Staley mentioned in her press conference that, hey, I'm not stuck in my ways. I'm not stubborn enough to say, hey, I'm not going to run something that's working. And that's the sign of a great or a legendary coach to say, hey, we're going to do what's best for the team in this situation to get the W. Definitely a historical night in Columbia, South Carolina, handing a Tennessee Lady Volunteers basketball program the largest loss deficit in their program history. What you saw was the difference between playing the game and controlling it. And when a team can do that on command, that's not just a win, that's a warning. They've zoned in. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like, leave a comment, and let me know what was the biggest turning point for you in this game. If you would like to help grow the game of women's basketball, starting with our Lady Gamecocks. And hey, coming up soon, y'all, once we hit maybe 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away a signed Don Staley autographed basketball. It's only one of 25 she signed. It has her Olympic gold medal dates on it, and it's authentic. It's going to come with all the papers to let you know it's official. But make sure you subscribe. When we get to around 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be giving that away to a lucky subscriber. Until next time, y'all be blessed. Go Gamecocks.